Hey everyone, Mitch and
Eddie.
See, if you just point at Eddie, he says his
Eddie.
name. That's actually true. If you actually ever see him at like a MagicCon or whatever, and you just point at him, he goes, Eddie.
It's true.
So there we go.
It's like
All
it's like a Pokemon.
The only word he can say is Pokemon. All right, great opening so far. So Eddie is joining today because we are going through 2023's greatest commanders of the year, the most powerful commanders of the year, the tiers. And we're probably going to have some debate on this because we don't always agree. Typically, we're around the same sometimes, especially with tier rankings.
The same ballpark.
Yeah, and although I think this is actually the first episode you've ever been on doing a tier ranking, I believe.
That's true.
You've helped out with a ton, almost all of my tier ranking lists, essentially. I just send over the list, and Eddie goes, this is wrong, that's wrong. I'm like...
Little reality check.
I changed some things. I'm like, yeah, but Eddie, you're wrong on this. So you're going to get to see some of the debate today. That said, let's jump into it. Every single commander that we are considering in the top, essentially, Eddie had a little list. I basically took just the S tier rankings from this year for my commanders. Now let's jump into it. So we're going to start things off like you often do at the bottom and work our way up. We're going to start off with the lowest mana value commanders. That doesn't mean that they're the least powerful though, obviously. And one of the reasons I'm going to be completely honest with you is just because this is the way that it ranked on Tier Maker, just to make it a little easier for me just to find the images so I'm not just running around trying to find these while talking. So we're going to start things off with Bartolomé del Presidio.
Yes.
I don't know. Did I say that right? I don't know. Anyways, probably pretty close, maybe?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark.
In the ballpark? Okay. Anyways, 2/1 Vampire Knight for 2 mana. And Orzhov, sacrifice another creature or artifact, get a counter on it. So, this one, I mean, I think is really, really cool. I absolutely love it. Now, how powerful is it compared to the top of the top, the cream of the crop in this set? Eddie, what do you think?
Okay, spicy take. So, I like Bartolomé. Bartolomé's a great guy. He comes over all the time. I'm going to get him in the D tier personally.
Okay, so I guess I should have prefaced this. D is the worst, S is the best. Okay,
yeah, we don't have any failures here. These are all, okay, and also, these are all great commanders.
Oh, these are the cream of the crop.
These are the cream of the crop. Like, this is just ranked in comparison to each other. So even though I would say Bartolomé is a D tier commander in context of this
390 other commanders from this year. Yeah, more than one a day. Yeah. Okay, so the context of the episode, I mean, it is a aristocrat style commander. It does meet that free sacrifice outlet requirement for a lot of things against creatures, artifacts. It's fantastic and larger, but compared to some of the other commanders, it's not quite there. I would have to agree with you. So we're going to start things off. I am very sorry, everyone, at the bottom with Bartolomé. Oh, not in the C tier, in the D tier. Eddie didn't see me mess up, but I just mentioned I did. No. There we go. So flawless. I did. Okay, moving on. We have Farmer Cotton. So this one is a 1/1 halfling peasant for X green and a white. Enters the battlefield. Create 1 X/1/1 halfling creature tokens and X food tokens. Okay, and I should preface this, okay, we are casual commander players. We are probably on, like, the higher-ish, like, mid to higher-ish power level of casual, I would say, probably. Like, we
as
allow,
far as
like,
how we personally build our decks, I would say yes. For some of these considerations, like, I'm in tune with the CEDH community. I have my own Kinnan deck. Like, I watch a lot of content for that, so, like, I'm aware of, like, the CEDH meta and potential there. But I would say, like, I mean, we're doing the most powerful commanders, so, like, the way I'm thinking about it is like these decks were building to be powerful. They might not necessarily be budget. Some of these are stupid powerful even on a budget. But yeah, definitely we're not assuming that you have dual lands, mana crypt, blend out to the nth degree.
100%. And yeah, I'm not that budget would be like the requirement for Farmer Cotton being great, but like we're not building it like full Farmer Cotton CDH, essentially. That's not how I have envisioned in my mind, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so Farmer Cotton, I mean, I think this is a crazy good commander, one that can work incredibly well with some very broken cards, Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, Karkclan Ironworks, Doubling Season. There's so many token doublers and triplers. I mean, there's a tripler now, too, in these colors. And also, you've got free sacrifice outlets that give you a lot of value out of that, too. You can do some crazy broken, I'm sure, infinite things quite easily with this commander.
Farmer Cotton can for sure go infinite.
So, if I had to guess, I mean, my God, this is our second commander we're talking about. I'm going to go with A tier. I think it's gonna go A tier. I think it's an A tier commander. There's probably some others this year that are
Farmer Cotton. Yeah,
I like Farmer Cotton.
That's cool.
I think it's very good. What do you have it at? I'm gonna say, you probably would see.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So I think Farmer Cotton is powerful. Again, all these are powerful. I think he needs some setup more so than the other commanders.
Sure.
If you're stopped, then you're kind of just dead on arrival. And I think it struggles a little bit only being in 2 colors, at least for me. Like once we're starting to build for power, access to more colors accounts for a lot. And green is super powerful in casual, but as you get higher and higher on the power scale, like it starts to even out a little bit. Green even starts to dip a little bit. So I actually also had Farmer Cotton in the D tier. I know. We got a little bit of a rift between us here. Yeah.
All right. I
mean, we got one A, so we should go somewhere in B and C.
Let's go with.
Let's go B. You like
I like it a lot, but we can still adjust later. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we can.
Maybe have one person be the point person for each of these, and then make the final. Call.
We'll see. Like if we have like 10 things in B and 2 things in C, then
we'll just make it look nicer, right? Just balance it out. Okay, moving on.
Nice bell curve.
Lotho.
Oh yeah, Lotho.
Shirriff. Shirriff. You want to read this one you have in front of you?
Yeah, Lotho. White and a black for a 2/1 halfling rogue. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token.
Okay.
So similar to Bartolome, like 2 mana, so super easy to get out. Mana value counts for a lot when you're playing for power. It's whenever a player, not just opponents, not just you, so a player. As you get to higher echelons of power, people are more likely to do a lot in a single turn. Being able to quote unquote cheat on your mana costs by having all these treasure tokens is gonna help you immensely. And then losing 1 life isn't as detrimental like when you're playing at these, life is a resource.
When you have 40 life.
When you have 40 of it.
Yeah.
So for all those reasons, I had Lotho at a B.
I think that's probably about where I would have Lotho too, actually. I mean, I've played against Lotho, and it's pretty gross when it gets going because you're probably not going to stop yourself from casting a second spell in your turn.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a lesseristic study. You don't feel as bad for not paying your taxes or like avoiding the trigger. People aren't going to spend removal on Lotho because they know you can just recast him. They're not going to
can recast with the money that you gave them.
Right. Yeah, the money you extorted from you. So I think Lotho flies under the radar just enough, but also provides enough value that like he's pretty solid.
Yeah, and there's a lot of artifact synergies that you can work with too. A lot of token doublers again. You're in White Noise Procession, so yeah, there's some pretty gross things you can do. Okay, Lotho, let's go with you in the B tier. I agree.
Great.
All right. Next up, we have Rona, Herald of Invasion. I love this commander.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Rona. I recognize that might be a bias of mine. So I'm
adjust you down.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where you think Rona wins.
All right. 1/3 human wizard for 1 and a blue. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap it. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. Basically Merfolk Looter, but with the untap clause for legendary. 5 and a Phyrexian black. Transform into the Tolarian Obliterator. 5/5 Phyrexian wizard. Trample. Source deals damage to Rona. That source control exiles cards to the hand at random. You basically get to play it if it's land or cast it for free. Yeah. So yeah, let's go back to the front though, because the front is probably we're going to evaluate more, I would assume.
Yeah, you're going to reliably have access to it. Yep.
Typically you're not like, okay, I get my commander out, then I flip it, and then this all happens, and my entire deck is predicated on this.
Yeah, if you can put a couple cards in there to benefit from the flip side of the card, but I wouldn't make it an extreme focus,
100%.
Especially for this one.
Okay, so give me the pitch on Rona. What makes Rona special?
Sure.
Where should Rona end up? Again, you are the Rona fanatic here.
I am. Yeah, I'm pro Rona. Well, that sounded bad after coronavirus. All right.
Nope. Not that.
Rona.
Herald of Invasion.
Herald of Invasion.
There you go.
I think she is one of many Dimir, so blue-black commanders that benefits from at the higher levels of play. Number 1 being in really good colors for counter spells and tutors.
Sure.
And with those tutors, you can go find Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter.
Yes.
Which are not too pricey even these days. They're like budget-ish.
Still, Dramatic Reversal is budget-friendly.
Yeah,
Isochron Scepter, not so much.
And so if you have mana rocks that, make enough to reactivate Isochron Scepter over and over again, you can then activate Rona as many times as you need, draw your entire deck, and from there, there's normally plenty of ways that you can win.
Thassa's Oracle, probably.
Yeah, probably Thassa's Oracle. So especially once you're building for power, Rona has a very clear line to victory and is an outlet in your command zone.
Yep.
In addition, there's just a lot of synergy these days with legendary spells. So like at minimum, she provides a consistency in the early game, comes down on 2. So she's going to be a reliable way to smooth out your early draws, to progress the game plan, just there's nothing I can really say bad about Rona other than she's only in 2 colors, which isn't that huge of a downside.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was for Farmer Cotton apparently, but not for Rona.
She's in better colors though.
Better colors, I'd say, if you're going for like combo victory win. Yes.
Yeah. With that caveat. Yeah.
With kind of like, that is kind of like the weird thing about, like evaluating these against like kind of like that borderline of like getting to like, okay, how brutal are we going to be? So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think that, again, if you're just building this and you just toss in a ton of good legendary spells in your deck, you're still going to have a good time, and it's going to be a good deck with this. I'd say, personally, compared to some of the other ones, I think Rona, I mean, I'd say B. I'd go B tier probably in comparison to some other ones. What do you say? Where are you at?
I mean, I have her at A. Because I kept her off of the S. I recognize.
Going more so kind of for like the
if you're
combo,
going the dramatic,
if you're
reversal,
going like full combo, sure, okay,
yeah. Plus you can tutor out. So I mean, if you're okay with that, I would say we keep Rona at A, and you can blame
I'll give you the
Eddie.
A. I'll give you the A. I'll give you the A on that one. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, one more, and then I might need a water break. Sure. Actually, we're just gonna take one right now. And we are back. Eddie, who's up next? Oh, I don't know if you know.
No clue.
It's in front of me, but not you. Cudzil, Malamet, Exemplar?
Oh, yeah,
I think that's how that name's said. All right. A 3/3 cat warrior for 1 green and a white. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. That's always fun text. Whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I just find that just to be really wonkily worded,
Oh, yeah, it's super awkward.
Like
to
they
read.
need like a keyword for that or something. Like I don't even know. Like modified creatures like make sense. Okay, if it's got like an aura on it, if it's got an equipment on it, if it's got a counter on it, it's different. Like, I mean, I understand this also counts anthems too, but like it's just like
it's super hard
so
to like.
Wordy.
It's easy to second guess yourself. Like, did I actually understand what I just read?
Yeah, it's like once you see it, you know it. And as long as they keep this exact same formatting for all the things, they don't change that, then it makes sense. But like, yeah,
they're definitely gonna have to like explain it to the table if they haven't seen it.
Well, and people are gonna build decks in certain ways and like not realize it doesn't do this or does that. And it's gonna be interesting. Okay, Eddie, what's so good about this one?
So again, we're building for power here. Green, white. I might have, been a little down on Farmer Cotton, like for tokens routes.
Oh, okay. So it's not good for that one, but it's good for this one.
If you're playing like an evil individual, you could build a very good stacks deck. Stacks being like you stop your opponents from doing things and you get to do things. And you can do it very safely because they can't stop you as long as it's your turn and you have Cudzil.
Unless they've got Willbender.
Unless they've got Willbender, which I play and I love Willbender.
It's such a fun one.
Notably, it does only stop spells, so people can still activate abilities. Not
or special actions.
Or special actions.
I hate that. You go. Sorry. It's just like, this is different. Why? I don't know.
I have an entire deck full of special actions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say Cudzil really leans into if you embrace the dark side and build towards the stacks. If you're building it more casually and don't want to be a terrible person, then I would say less powerful.
We're not saying stacks people are terrible people. You are completely fine to play stacks as long as everyone else at the table is okay with you playing stacks. If they're not okay with it, don't play stacks.
We can all be terrible people together.
Exactly. I mean,
for that reason, I had Cudzil at an A if you're building it in that way, but if you're doing it in a different direction, I think she loses a lot of steam.
I'd say like let's go from the more casual perspective and say like most casual players out there are not running stacks builds typically, so I think we'd lower it down a little bit. But yeah, a ton of card potential, card draw potential, quite easy to just get a single anthem out, and either color has anthems essentially. And then a lot of low to the ground evasive creatures that you're getting more and more and more of. Okay. So where are we throwing that? Where do you think?
I mean, I had it at A, but if we're going more casual, I would say like maybe even bump it down to C.
I think C sounds about right. Okay, let's do that. There we go. Down to the C tier. Moving on. Rowan, Scion of War.
Yeah, she's hardcore.
4/2 Human Wizard with Menace that costs 3 mana in Rakdos. Tap spells you cast. I just got Menace, I think you said last time.
I sure did.
In my head. This just messed me up right there. Tap spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less gas, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn. Activate as a sorcery. Okay, so this one is pretty absurd in my mind.
Sure is.
This one is, so there is another one that we'll talk about here in a little bit that's kind of the opposite of this, but it is so incredibly easy to lose life. In fact, there are certain cards like Wall of Blood, Mischievous Poltergeist that are just like, hey, lose whatever amount of life you want. You're in Commander, you start off with 40, so you could like lose, hypothetically, like 39.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your spells that turn cost 39 less. You don't need to go that far. You could probably just go down to like, I mean, maybe lightning bolt, you lose. Oh no. You can go down to like, let's say even just go down to 10 life, right? Lose 30 life. And then all of a sudden, all your spells cost 30 less life that turn. You also have threaten effects, which are just going to be a single red mana then, essentially, that can untap this, do it again. Then just cast a giant, like, Giazim Lighting Inferno, or whatever it is.
Torment of Hailfire. Yeah.
It's just, it turned out. Yeah, the non-budget version. There you go. But yeah, so you have plenty of ways to essentially win. You got plenty of tutors. You got plenty of untap effects. You got plenty of ways to lose life. I guess the only thing this is missing is haste.
Fair.
Yeah, okay. Convince me why this isn't a potentially S.
I put her at S. She's my first S tier commander. I think we've had some conversation about how like once you go from casual budget up and like push towards the CDH limit, like the ratings can change for commander. I think she does not. She's strong in casual. She's strong in competitive. She's got everything that you need going for it. So I mean,
100%.
Great card.
I think it's going to be hard to compete with this one. Again, if this is like the bar for the S tier, it's going to be very hard to compete with that because, Rowan, the second I saw, I was like, they didn't just print it that way, did they? Yeah, they did. Okay, cool.
If I had to like say one downside for Rowan just before, I mean, I think she's still S.
Oh, yeah.
But we had about 10 pros. The only con is like if you build your deck centered entirely around Rowan and she gets removed too many times.
Oh, yeah.
Then like the deck will not function as well probably, but that's about the only thing
unless you get to tap Rowan once that turn and then Rowan gets dealt with on your turn, then you can recast for just 2 mana because Rowan is a black and a red spell.
Yeah, but if you don't have haste, whatever. Yeah.
Then what are you building your deck for? You did it wrong. Right. Fervor right now. Just kidding. All right, move on. Here we go. Unctus Grand Metatect. Eddie, why don't you read this one if you can get to it in time?
Yeah, let me scroll. Here we go. I found him.
There you go.
Unctus, Grand Metatect. 1 blue for a huge type line. Legendary. Artifact, creature, Phyrexian, Vidalcan. They had to shrink the font on that one.
They did.
2/4. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. As well as, other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. As well as, for a Phyrexian blue, you can... until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact in addition to its other colors and types. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, so mono blue, artifacts matters. Again, has that kind of looting effect where you draw a card and discard a card with certain parameters and can turn things into blue artifacts. This is not one that was on my list, so I'm eager to hear what you can do to... build up.
To convince you that this should be at least as good as Bartolome.
Yes.
I mean, this one is, again, if you are building in the, hey, okay, let's combo with this. I mean, it's pretty easy to combo with this. All you need is like one Apheto Alchemist and you are there. Yeah. Essentially. So like anything that can untap itself or any 2 creatures that can untap each other. There's like Vizier of Tumbling Sands type cards. There's a ton of those in blue. All you need to do is just stuff your deck full of them. All of a sudden, you can draw your entire library, and then, you Thassa's Oracle win, Lab Maniac win. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the premise as to why this should be considered for this list. Yeah, is it on the lower compared to some of the other ones in these tier rankings? Sure. But, I mean, I think at the very least, it's got to be... I mean, I think, again, this might just... It depends on the build. I think, like, this could be considered up there with at least, like, Lotho. So, I mean... I'm gonna go with a B in my mind, but I'm sure you're gonna convince me down to a C and hopefully not a D.
You live your dream, Mitch. You can do whatever you want. No, I had Unctus. I had Unctus at D.
Okay.
Monocolored decks are just hard to push, but I mean, I agree. There's a lot of redundancy for this effect
Urza's
in blue.
Urza's a thing, and that's blue.
Urza is a thing.
This is not Urza.
This is not Urza.
This is not Urza. That's true. This is not Urza.
Unless Urza's had a very bad day. No, I think Unctus, like, there's certainly you can build a super powerful deck around it, and there's a lot of redundancy for the effects. You're in blue, so you do have some control options as far as counterspells goes. There's a lot of blue artifact matter things, so could definitely see Unctus being a commander across the table that I have to respect. But I think the monocolor aspect of
holds it back.
Makes it a little...
What if this was 5 color? What would that do for you?
I mean, then it would probably be an S tier commander.
All right, so Wizards, give us a new Unctus that is 5 colors, and we'll redo the episode. Okay.
No, I mean, I totally. If you want to bump them up from D, I will.
I am fine with the D tier ranking. That the blue mono blue aspect does limit it compared to the other ones. Let's just throw it there for now, and I'll just cry inside. Yeah. All right, Will Scion of Peace.
Yes.
Rowan's brother, I believe. Rowan's brother, I think.
Yeah, Rowan twin.
There you go. All right, there we go. A 2/4 human wizard with vigilance for 1 white and a blue. Tap spells you cast this turn that are white and or blue cost X less cast for X the amount of life you gain to this turn activated as a sorcery. So, Eddie, why is this not as good as Rowan? If I'm also gaining, I gain life, so I'm benefiting. I'm going
more
up
life
versus down.
Yeah, more life is better than less life. That's a fact.
Why is that worse?
Mostly, I think you mentioned this and kind of nailed it on the head. There's a lot of effects that allow you to pay an unbounded amount of life. And then
bounded by your life total.
Bounded by your life total. Unless you're a coward, then you can just go for it.
Yeah, there you go. Or if you have Phyrexian on life in play, then you're like, oh, I'm a 0. Cool.
Yeah. No, I think it's harder to gain life in chunks, which is totally a fair assessment. I've got a somewhat life gainy deck with Will in it, and I have to say Will is overperformed from what I expected.
That's fair.
So I think the community at large would probably be Will shouldn't be on the list, or at least D tier. But I put Will in C tier.
I would think
I would super high.
I'd put Will, I think, in C at least. I think, I mean, I think that again, there are a lot of untap effects in these again. Like, yeah, you've got all the threaten effects, and there's a ton of them for Rowan. But this one just inherently has a bunch of like twiddle effects. There's just a lot of those.
And a lot of the white life gain effects are things that stick on the board. You know, the Soul Sisters that gain you life whenever a creature enters. There's a whole lot of ways to gain life consistently across the course of a game to repeatedly activate Will, whereas Rowan's kind of like, an explosive, we're gonna go for it and burn out bright if we don't. Will's kind of, we can always try again. We have a lot of life. We've got a lot of control elements here in Azoria, so you get to be the control player if you want to go that route.
And this does have, it does have those kind of big bursty turn effects as well, potentially. You could, like, Angelic Chorus. Is that the one where you're, like, getting 2 for each creature on the battlefield? Or there's certain just, like, there's a couple, I think, X gain life spells, too. So, like, once you get it going, once you untap, then you just, cast a Blue Sun Zenith, and all of a sudden you just drew your entire deck, and then you can win from there, too. So, yeah, I definitely agree. Nowhere near as powerful as Rowan. I think you said C?
I said C.
I think C sounds about right. Let's throw it in C, and just, we'll just leave it there. It's like a C. I think it's like a C plus B minus probably, but yeah, there we go. Okay. One more, and then I'll probably need another drink break.
Side note, I love how he's the Scion of Peace while he's wielding this giant blue sword. Like,
you will I come in peaceful. Be peaceful. All right, here we go. Zimone and Dina. Let's go with that one. 3/4 human dryad in Sultai. I think that's the most popular out of the 3 color combinations, or it's my favorite in Commander.
I like it a lot
because it's just like Simic plus all the tutors. So, there you go.
What's not to like?
Exactly. All right. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses life. You gain 2 life. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. Tap. You control 8 or more lands. Repeat this process once.
Yes.
Okay.
I like Zimone and Dina. Like you said, I'm a Simic player at heart. I recognize it. And having access to black definitely gives you a lot of options to draw on.
But what if we also added white and red to that?
I don't know, man.
I love 5 color. Hi, my name's Mitch.
I think like it's all upside here. Like, you get to gain life, you get to draw cards, you do all the Simic stuff, and then you get the bonus of having access to the tutors, like you said. So good. I think it's a value engine. So like if the game goes long, Zimone and Dina are gonna benefit from that. But it's just an inevitable value engine type of commander, which doesn't always do so well in like super high powered games, but certainly can.
It definitely requires setup, I think. And again, it's definitely not a competitive tier commander. I wouldn't think. I highly doubt it.
No,
but it is definitely one that can at a casual table be a threat. And once you're set up properly, once you have creatures on the board to sacrifice, again, like if you have like a Zendikar Royal, is that the one
where you
enchantment making a 2/2 elemental one landfall, essentially. You have any of those kind of effects, rampaging Baelofs, and then you sacrifice one of those, you get lands into play, then maybe you have like Retreat to Coral Helm to untap, or you have other untap effects. You untap this, you do it again and again and again. It does take setup. It is pretty effective, but I do think this one does require a good amount of setup. So where do you think that this one lands?
Regardless of some of those downsides, like I still had Zimone and Dina up in the B tier. I think like if you're not going like cutthroat, really like budgetless stuff, it benefits from the longer games. And since that's the kind of direction that we're headed, I would say like she benefits from that environment more.
Okay. I'd say in my head I had C tier because I do think, between like this and like Will, I do think Will would be potentially more powerful. I guess Will does require some setup too, though.
Yeah, I like the card advantage built in.
Yep.
You gain some life.
It does, and it's in technically better colors in ways. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it says draw a card, put land on the battlefield. That's got my attention.
But it also says drain an opponent. Woohoo!
Yep.
All right, just because of it's being Sultai, I will go with you. You said B tier. Let's go.
I had it in B. I might be wrong.
Let's throw it. You might be wrong. All right. With that great joke, let's take a quick break. And we are back. Eddie, great joke that I made earlier, right?
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Amazing. We were just laughing this entire time. Anyways, Aragorn the Uniter, a commander that might not make your opponents laugh. Eddie, read it off.
Aragorn the Uniter, red, green, white, blue for a 5/5 human noble. Whenever you cast a white spell, make a 1/1 white human soldier token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn.
Yeah, so your opponents aren't going to be laughing because, my goodness, that's a lot of things that can happen. A ton of value, and all of a sudden, you're overrun with just an absurd amount of value.
Yeah, I mean, you're in every color but black, so, I mean, you've got access to a whole host of super powerful stuff.
Yep.
You're already getting an above rate 5/5 for 4 mana, which, that's nice.
These days, it's just expected.
It's fine. But literally, no matter what you do, you are getting value.
Unless you built an all artifact deck.
Yeah, all colorless.
Colorless.
That would be a challenge.
Aragorn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, try to win with that. I mean, you still could win, I'm sure. But
that would be
it'd be very ironic and funny. But yeah.
I had Aragorn as an S tier commander. I think
it's absurd value.
It's absurd value.
You literally get just like 3 extra things stapled onto every single one of like your 3 color spells.
This is one of those that, like, again, if you're on the lower end of the budget, powerful. If you soup it up to super CEDH levels, you can do there's combos that you can do with what is it? You can do Squee the Immortal plus Food Chain. And then just cast Squee infinitely and kill your opponents with that red spell, dealing 3 damage to target opponent.
That sounds fun.
It's a Food Chain deck.
That sounds fun.
That's really good in CEDH.
You can go that way. Or you can be a little more casual and put Elegeth in play. You love Sphinxes.
I do love Sphinxes.
And then just, instead of scrying 2, now it's draw 2, which is just lovely. But I mean, that Food Chain too. Yeah. But yeah, the amount of absurd value you get out of this is just insane. Again, literally, if you just took all of like the just miscellaneous, like just say even budget top like 3 color cards and just threw them in a deck with this, you'd still probably do well. I mean, you need like the mana base.
I mean, he's got a kind of Kenrithy vibe, right? Like, you don't need a plan to make Aragorn be good. Aragorn is just good.
Just inherently good.
No matter what you
when you staple 3 extra things onto every single one of your spells, it's insane.
Yeah. Especially like when you can, if you want to take it down a notch and kind of lean into what Aragorn's about, toss in a lot of multicolored spells that have like, multiple different colored pips and get, 3 for 1 value off of
absolutely
any of those sort of things. Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I think I'll throw that one up there. Yeah, the 4 color nature, not quite as good as 5 color, but still it is definitely up
very
there.
close.
Very close. Yeah. All right, next up, Elesh Norn. The Elesh Norn, because I think there's 2 on this list actually. Spoiler: this is the Elesh Norn that does not have any text after the name, just Elesh Norn. A 3/5 Phyrexian Praetor for 2 white Vigilance. Whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, that player loses 2 life unless they pay 1. 2 and a white, sacrifice 3 other creatures, exile Elesh Norn, return to the battlefield, transform to control, activates only sorcery, flips over into the Argent Etchings, incubate 2 5 times, then transform all incubator tokens you control. Creature control get +1/+1, double strike until end of turn. Third one, destroy all other permanents except for artifacts, lands, and Phyrexians. Exile, then flip it right back. Okay,
that's
lots going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Break it down, Eddie.
Yeah, so I have on my list Elesh Norn as a C2 commander, but actually just reading it out loud again, I think probably I would move it down to D. Like, Elesh Norn's strong.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. But
mono white,
so you're really missing out on a lot of colors.
You're missing out on all the good colors. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
All the good colors. White has been getting more and more things lately. It's been getting more and more things lately.
I think the thing, reading it again and again, that occurs to me is like, it's really an effect that relies on your opponents to trigger it. And a lot of these decks that are super powerful, you need to kind of be in the driver's seat to be in control and to decide when you get the benefit out of something. And Elesh Norn, like, you can do a Pillow Fort that is, a deck that encourages attacks to go elsewhere. Sort of deck. That's what her ability says as much. So you can really lean into that. But I think that strategy starts to struggle a little bit at higher levels of play where combo is more encouraged.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. I do think that, you could be aggressive with this too. I mean, because it's just if they block your things too as well, that would impact it. I mean, there's only kind of like a certain kind of element to this that is very good again in certain situations versus other ones are just blanketly more powerful. This is it's a repeatable board wipe, cool, but also I mean it does require some setup to do so. So I think overall I agree. We're going D tier.
I think D for Elesh Norn.
D tier. Sorry, Elesh Norn, don't be upset with us. Moving on, Ellivere of the Wild Court, a 4/4 human knight for 2 green and a white. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create a virtuous roll token attached to another target creature you control. Eddie, do you have all the different rolls memorized? Because I don't.
I've got a few of them. I actually use a few of them in my decks. So right. I remember this one.
Okay, just as a reminder, if you control another roll, I mean I remember this one specifically because of this commander. If you control another roll on it, put that one in the graveyard. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. It's absurd to me that like some of the rolls are just like low power, and then others like oh by the way this one's like some are just like just +1/+1, and like this one's like no
this
plus like 18
how
plus
about
18.
An ethereal armor for you.
Literally, And whenever enchant creature you control deals counter to a player, draw a card. Just that little text at the bottom.
Yeah, just that little text at the bottom.
Little text right there. That's absurdly powerful.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when they see the card they might not think like, oh, this is super powerful and strong. Some people will because they're very smart. But
blame Eddie for insulting many people in the comments below.
I was one of the people who did not at first.
But now you're smart.
But now I educated
smart.
myself.
There you go.
No, I think this commander is another one that if you are on the team I'm a horrible person and build it as a stacks deck, the Drannith Magistrates.
Against play groups that are not okay with that. Those are the only ones.
I think it's pretty entertaining to play stacks. Like, again, if everyone's on board.
If everyone's on board.
Stacks is fine.
And eggs.
And that's where this commander thrives, because you can just play a whole bunch of creatures. There's countless of them in Selesnya colors that limit your opponents and what they can do. And
called hate bears.
Yes, hate bears. And so they are really good at holding these roll tokens that you're generating. You've got card advantage. So you can basically slow your opponents down to a sufficient degree, and then the deck naturally encourages you to build out creatures, attach these rolls, and then stacks decks sometimes struggle for a win condition. Like they just slow the game down to a crawl and then nothing happens. But this has like a built-in win condition. Like I'm going to keep putting these roll tokens out. My army's going to get bigger. You're not doing anything, so you won't be able to put up good blocks. I'm going to be getting card advantage when I do my thing. So
my Aven Mind Sensor is a 2020.
That's a realistic outcome with this deck. Yeah.
Drannith Magistrate.
Yeah. No, there's a ton of effects like that. So if you are willing to build a deck like that, I think she could be A, even S, if you really are really good at knowing your meta and playing the right stacks pieces.
With the same kind of prerequisite that we said earlier with the other Selesnya commander that apparently could be in stacks as well.
Yeah.
If we are not going stacks,
if you're not going that way, I think it's still fine, but
good amount of card advantage, but loses a good amount of the luster. So let's go, since we did that for the other one, let's go with the same thing. So where do you think it ends up at the end of the day if we are saying you are not doing stacks hate bears shenanigans? Maybe a couple things in there, but not like overall just trying to shut down your opponents.
I think C or D if you're not doing that.
I would say so too. I would probably say so too. So goodness gracious.
Where did we have the other one?
Other one's in C. Do you think this is the same level?
This has to be at least C then.
At least C.
If we want to knock that one down to D and put this one in C.
There we go. C. So let's put that in C. Do you want to knock the other one down to D?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. Down to D. All right. There we go. All right.
I think it was Cudzil.
Cudzil. That's the name.
Yep.
I found the picture. I know the picture. Everyone saw me move the picture properly. It's just the name. Sorry. There's a lot of names. There's 393 commanders this year. What, 1,900 new cards this year or something?
At least, yeah. It's a lot.
There's a lot. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Next up, Heliod, the Radiant Dawn. Man, Heliod looks like Heliod's doing a great job, right? Defending things on Theros, right? Heliod's just doing. Let's see how this turns out. It's only gonna turn out well, right?
Yeah, only good things. All 2 white 4/4 legendary enchantment creature god. When Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. 3 and a Phyrexian blue to transform Heliod into Heliod, the Warped Eclipse. 4/6. Get to add that Phyrexian subtype. Didn't go so well for Heliod.
You may cast
you may cast spells as though they had flash. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. So really encouraging you to play at instant speed. I think this is one of the rare commanders that I would say you actually probably do want to build for the reverse
like
side.
Entirely the reverse side, because the front side really doesn't.
It's okay.
Like, okay, cool. I ETB bring something back.
Like maybe I get my Smothering Tithe back, or Mystic Study back, or Mystic Grimoire back.
Woo!
Great, but that reverse side really is pretty good.
I mean, if this was just on the front side of the card, it would probably be an S tier commander for me. But with this, you having to actually get it out, you have to transform it. It does take some of that off of it, but once you get that there, it is so easy to be like, oh, yeah, hey, wheel once. Okay, cool. Now all my wheels are basically free from there on.
Yep.
I mean, you're paying whatever the the pips, but other than that, you also can maybe you have the dramatic reversals in there to untap your artifacts. Infinite craziness as soon as you get things going like once.
Yeah, I think it is Azorius colors. It encourages kind of stacksy effects. So I mean, it's not unlike some other very popular decks of old that kind of have proven that they are pretty good. Grand Arbiter, I think, is the one that comes to mind. So yeah, I mean, I think if you, again, this is a deck for people who are terrible people, and I have been that person.
I have definitely been that as well.
Yeah,
this reminds me of it's like kind of like Storm as well. So like I've done Artifact Storm. This is more like wheelie Storm kind of craziness.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think the fact that it's in Azorius only, and like you said, you have to kind of build towards that flip side of the card. I have it in C.
Yeah, I think so too. Because of the flip aspect, I think that it's probably more of the middle. So there we go.
Cool.
Let's go with a C tier commander. Because again, if you get it flipped and then like your opponent just deals with it right away, then you're like, I just spent all that effort to actually get this out, get it flipped. It's going to cost more next time. I 100% agree. Moving on. Eddie, why don't you tackle this one, Inganesca, because this is your color identity. So there you go. You got to talk about this one.
Inganesca, 2 green blue for a 4/4 human god. Creatures you control have vigilance and add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. When you cast a creature spell, if 3 or more mana from creatures was spent to cast it, draw a card.
Yeah.
It's mana advantage and card advantage in the command zone, and it's in Simic.
Wow.
How original.
I do like it's a different way they went about it, at least. Yes. At least there's a requirement for that card draw as well.
Yep.
So it's not just like, hey, whenever you cast any creature with mana, it's like, no, you need 3 at least. So it's not like I'm just dropping a Llanowar Elves and,
Yeah.
Unless you have unless someone else has like that one God Pharaoh statue, whatever. Is that the one? Whichever one makes your spells cost 2 more, technically. Then therefore you could. Actually, so there you go. There's the tech right there.
No, I think it's just there's a lot of value. I don't think this is going to be CEDH player. Like, it's not going to be tippy top of the power level, but it's kind of like Zimone and Dina, where if the game goes long, you're going to have more cards than everyone else. You're going to have access to a lot of mana. So,
what Simic players want to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you make it to the long game, this card's going to carry you across the finish line.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say my gut says, just compared to some of the other ones, probably maybe a C+, maybe a B-.
Yeah, I had it at B, but I'm also a Simic player, so I have an inherent bias.
I will give you this with your inherent bias. We'll bump it up to a B, but yeah, I would say probably that's probably about right. I don't know if I put it above. I don't know if I put it above Will and Rowan. Actually, Will though, but. Well, different question for a different day. Moving on. King of the Oathbreakers. A 3/3 Spirit Noble for 4 mana in Orzhov with flying. Whenever another spirit you control becomes a target of a spell, it phases out. When King of the Oathbreakers or another spirit you control phases in, create a tapped 1/1 white spirit controlling with flying. I mean, I just think this is a really fun commander. I do think it's pretty powerful. I don't think it's the most powerful commander out there. It does really take advantage of like some really old janky cards that are like a single mana that are like, hey, target any number of creatures and they all become black until end of turn. It's like that doesn't matter on what the text actually means. It just matters that you target all of them. So it's like double up your army and phase it all out. It comes back again, doubled, and then you just do it again with something else. Yeah, I mean, this commander can be hard to deal with. Your army can be hard to deal with. You're making a bunch of evasive creatures as well. It's not the best commander out there, but it's not the worst, although compared to some of the other commanders
there's a lot of competition.
Compared to the competition, it's probably, again, if I had to say, probably a D tier commander in my estimation.
I'm glad you said that because I didn't want to ruin your
It is
dreams.
An S tier commander. I'm just kidding. S tier. Up at the top, King of the Oathbreakers. Unstoppable.
No, I think, when I read this card, the first word that comes to mind is resilient. Like, you're going to be hard to deal with, but I feel like closing the game out is where this deck is going to struggle the most.
I mean, you could win with Anthems. You could win with Aristocrat style effects draining. You could also, though, I mean, you can protect your team, like, again, by utilizing one of those spells that phase them out, but also if you're doing that and your opponents are like, okay, now that you're wide open, I can just swing at you. So if you don't have any other ways to protect yourself, then you could be in trouble too. So overall, really good commander, really fun commander. Again,
I like it a lot.
It's a very fun commander, but compared to the cream of the crop, a D tier commander. And again, we say the cream of the crop, but like These are like, I think we have 43 commanders or so. There's not 44 that we're talking about today. 43 out of 390. So like the top 10% essentially. This is like the S of the S tier is what we're talking about. And so now we are breaking them down. So again, even if it's a D tier commander in this, I just bumped my microphone, it is still a very good commander.
If you see any of these across the table, like you have to like
you're like attention. Okay, yeah, it was on that list, I need to take that out. Okay, quick break and we'll be right back. And we are back. So Mondra Glory Dominus, mono white, D tier. All right, that's it. That's how.
End of discussion.
That's how it goes. Okay, Eddie, why don't you read this one?
Mondra Glory Dominus, 2 white for a 4/4 Phyrexian horror, and it is horrific. Don't look at the art too long.
That is actually, if you zoom in, it's like
don't.
Those are mouths.
Recommend.
Those are mouths.
Recommend. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. What a creative ability. 1 Phyrexian white. Sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures to put an indestructible counter on Mondra Glory Dominus. I mean, the first thing is it's mono white, so I mean you are limited by
You're immediately
colors.
Handicapping the deck by it being mono white.
Yeah, it's very good. I love that it's not a sorcery speed ability to make itself indestructible, so you can kind of sandbag a bit until you really need to sacrifice those artifacts or creatures.
You literally only just need 1 mana to do so, right? Because I mean, you need 1 mana and 2 creatures or artifacts.
And at that point, like, it needs to be a Path to Exile or, a Farewell. Like, those are the only answers that really...
Or a Vampire Hexmage.
Or a Vampire Hexmage.
There you go. And then a Destroy spell.
There's a few, like, black spells, negative X types of things that get rid of it, but like it narrows the acceptable removable removal that'll get rid of it. So good card. I think it can be made strong. There's a lot of anthems, a lot of token generators. So again, you need to pay attention to it, but I think it's gonna struggle against some of the competition here. So I have it in D.
D as well. Let's go with that. All right, moving on. Narset Enlightened Exile, a 3/4 human monk for 4 mana in Jeskai. Creatures control prowess. Lovely. Whenever Narset attacks, exile target non-creature non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard and copy it. Cast copy without paying its mana cost. I believe this was on your list, Eddie. I don't think it made mine. All right.
Yeah, this is
convince me.
It very nearly or did win a CDH tournament.
Okay, but this is not CDH.
But you have to pay attention. You're right.
But no, I don't.
No, I mean, that first sentence by itself is absurd if you're building casual. Like, creatures you control a prowess. Like, if you're going on the more casual side, go wide. Now all your creatures can get massive.
Cast any non-creature spell ++1 for all of them.
Yeah, it's really strong. You're in 3 colors, so you've got some control elements in blue and white, and then you've got some acceleration, dockside, whatever, in red.
Jessica's Will.
Jessica's Will. In CDH, this one does nuts things with Underworld Breach.
Oh, you didn't even think of all that.
Yeah, so I think this is one of those commanders that, if you're playing budgetless, if you're really trying to optimize it, I have it in S tier. But if you're doing it on the more casual end of the spectrum, like for the go wide, not doing as much of the Underworld Breach stuff, still very good. Probably still A. What do you think?
I mean, my gut says B at the very most. I mean, yes, creature draw prowess. You've got a lot of ways. Okay, maybe I can be convinced. You have a lot of ways to make a lot of tokens. Okay, you do. Make a lot of creature tokens. And most of those are just instant sorceries or non-creature spells as it is. So yeah, you can pump your team quite quickly. I mean, getting things for free from graveyards is fun. I mean, I think it's pretty good. Okay, maybe me a little more convinced. Again, I think because again, I'm not on that like CDH mindset of like okay, like the cream of the crop. I could be convinced B+.
Okay, I'm fine being a public service announcement. If you see an opponent playing the CDH version, watch out. But if they're not playing that version,
you're probably okay.
I just want to make people aware that exists.
It's still one that is very, very powerful and can hit you very, very hard. Okay,
so we landed on A. Cool.
Let's go with an A tier.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got Ob Nixless Captive Kingpin. Ob is just stuck apparently on a plane now. Good for Ob. 4/3 Demoth Flample. 4 mana in Rakdos. Whenever one or more of your opponents each lose exactly 1 life, you get a counter on Ob. Exile the top card of your library to your next end step. Play that card.
Yeah. I mean, this is proof that planeswalkers are terrible because this guy stopped being a planeswalker and became awesome.
So pretty true, actually.
Yeah. No, I have Ob in S tier. I think there's so many abilities in that just things that happen in the course of a game. That 1 damage happens and you get advantage and very easily becomes a commander damage threat. In addition to being, access to tutors, access I think it it at every power level or every budget level, it's going to be one that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly,
if you've got either Pyrohemia
would do that
the
a
black
lot.
one as well.
Pestilence.
There you go. I don't know why my brain stopped on that. Yeah, it's just like one damage, 1 mana for all 3 of your opponents, 3 impulse draw 3.
Yeah, massive card advantage.
Yeah.
They have to have removal for it. If you don't respect Omnixilus, he's gonna commander damage you to death.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. This is like, it didn't need the counter, right? Like, it's kind of like, gosh, my brain's not working right now. You used to have the Sacrifice Treasures Corvold. Yeah. Like, it's just like Corvold. It didn't need the counter synergy on there. It did not need it at all, and they just threw that on here, and it's like, oh, by the way, you just win commander damage. Oh, yeah, it has Flample, too. Like, it did not need that at all. Without that, it would still be very good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite up to Rowan and Aragorn, though. I don't know if it's quite there.
That's fair.
I think it's very, 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 very good. All right, we'll throw up in the S tier. I think it's close. It's close enough.
That's fair.
Where it's like an A+. I think
I'll accept the blame for this one. I'm a very good receptacle for blame.
Receptacle.
Kind of what I do.
There you go. That seems like a band album name. Receptacle for
like
blame.
A therapist. Like, you just lay all your troubles on me.
They don't blame the therapist. I mean, some people do. But Okay, moving on. Why don't you read this one? Oher Axonel, Deepest Might. I guess I say read these, but then you have like a separate like list of like different order than I do.
Yeah,
because,
okay.
Go ahead.
Oher Axonel, Deepest Might. Number 1, the most metal art in
all
all of the set.
You have
Victor
a dinosaur
Adame,
hand.
Right, like dinosaur for a head, flaming sword above a volcano with lightning bolts and a skull in the middle.
And a skull in the background, too.
So hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I mean, S tier art for sure.
So we should just rank these based on art.
Yeah.
S tier.
Yeah.
Done.
I mean, it's a god. It's a 4/4 trample. If a red source you control would deal damage less than its power to an opponent, that source deals damage equal to its power instead. When it dies, it transforms into a land that can make a mountain. Or make a red mana, as well as 2 and a red, transform it back to its front face only if a red sources you control dealt 4 or more non-combat damage this turn, and only as a sorcery.
Yep.
So,
very easy
the word count on these cards is
oh my
absurd.
Goodness. Yeah. I've seen like charts of like the word count just being absurd these days. Like, there's no more vanilla creatures these days too. So
yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think it's going to be better on casual levels than in the more competitive, like powerful side. I think it has like a power ceiling sort of thing.
Sure.
But it's going to be a super fun deck. Like, I love it. So I have it in the D tier.
I mean, I think it's a D tier as well. I think, again, like when it comes to commanders being monocolor, that really hampers them quite a bit compared to others, especially when it's like, no offense to mono white or mono red. Typically, I'd say the weaker of the monocolors.
Especially if you're like going on the budget side, like you lose access to dock side under world bridge stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even if you have dock side, this was one card of your 100. But still, like this, yes, it requires some setup. Once you're set up, my goodness, being able to like have like any kind of a Tim creature that can tap to deal 1 damage, and like you have like again like a Blackblade Reforged on Oher, and then you're like, or Oher, is it Oher?
Oher. Yeah,
Oher,
like
okay.
Yep.
And then like so it has like 14 power, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Let's deal 14 power with a ping effect essentially.
Pyrohemia, we just mentioned that.
Yeah. Like you can win quite easily once you're set up properly. It does take setup though. You are in a monocolor. Let's throw you down in the D tier. There you go. That D tier is getting quite crowded, but that actually kind of makes sense though when you have like the cream of the crop. It's like, hey, we got this like glut of ones that are very good, but like they're together, and then we have like slight changes above them. So all right, moving on. Another god, Deepest Epoch. A 4/3 god with flying for 2 blue. Whenever you cast an instant spell from your hand, it gains rebound. Basically means you get to cast it for free at the beginning of your next upkeep from exile. When it dies, it gets 3 time counters on it and flips into Temple of Cyclical Time. Tap for a blue, remove one of those time counters, pay 2 and a blue, tap, transform it. Only in sorcery speed, only if it's got no time counters on it. So slightly different than the other gods when it comes to actually how you flip it back. They all have a requirement technically, except for like the green one, which really doesn't have a requirement at all. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. I'm not bitter about that at all.
No.
But yeah, this is still quite easy to flip back though. If you have any kind of untap effects, you can just untap the land, do it again.
Yep. So. What do you have as a rating out of curiosity?
I mean, again, it is limited to being mono. I'd say probably D. I'd say probably D tier.
You know, I have it at C just because blue is a good color, and I think like there's so many instances that you're not going to struggle to find cards to include in the deck, and getting double value is great. So I have it there. I'm not going to argue. You know, it's C or D.
I think it's like a D plus C minus. It's better than the red one. I mean, it's better than the red god that we just talked about.
It's not going to draw as much attention from the table. Like red, you're constantly reminding people about like, hey, I'm about to kill you.
Yeah, if you have just all this damage, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, this just has absurd value throughout the game.
A value engine.
And yes, there are certain. I mean, there's one instant speed extra turn spell that comes about. It's like, cool, I get 2 instead. Cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad that it's only instant. Sorcery doesn't sound broken until you think of extra turns.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I would say let's go with that AC tier. Okay. All right, moving it up. Moving on. Hello, Shalai and Hallar.
Hello.
Gross. All right. 3/3 Angel Elf for 4 mana and Naya Flying Vigilance. Whenever one or more +1 counters our opponent creature you control, Shalai and Hallar deals that much damage to target opponent. Eddie, thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very strong commander. There's so much +1/+1 counter support, and it combos with a few different cards.
Combos with a ham sandwich.
All will be one.
4, 5, 6, 7 cards that combo with this.
Yeah. So I have it in S tier. Like you get access to 3 colors. It's even if it gets removed, your deck is probably going to have enough synergy on its own to like still be a threat.
And you have colors that can actually go get the combo piece, like Eladamri's Call. Is that the one where you search for any creature, essentially put in your hand?
Yeah, white searches for creatures
that
for like
combo
all
with
will be
this,
one.
that just go infinite as long as you get 1 point of damage on anything, and then you just
So I have Shalai and Hallar at S. Like, I could see an argument for A since you don't have access to blue and black, which are very good colors.
I'm not going to argue against it though. I think it is an S tier.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, even if you're just playing it, no combo. If you just have like 10 creatures in play and you play one simple spell that's like give a counter all your creatures, cool. You're just going to deal an absurd amount of damage right then and there.
Shalai and Hallar, like, just if I sit across the table from a Shalai and Hallar deck, I am like, I'm not going to let that stick because if I do, I die.
Nope. Hey, everyone else, we're all agreeing, right? Okay, we're all agreeing we need to take that player out, okay? Oh, wait, except for that player there who's playing Urza, that one over there who's playing Aragorn, that one over there plays Rowan. Oh, wait, and I'm playing.
That's the beauty of high power commander.
And, oh, goodness. All right, moving on. Solfim Mayhem Dominus.
Yeah, I got this one. Solfim. 2 red, 5/4. If a source that you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. Again, so creative.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, doubling things. Wow, Wizards.
I know. 1 Phyrexian red. Discard 2 cards. Put an indestructible counter on Solfim. So I have it in C. It's good. I would say it's better than the O'Hare. I think the O'Hare is more flashy and fun to build around. I think Solfim just gets the job done.
It takes more setup for the other one. This one's just like, I'm not gonna give you like 14 damage per thing, but I will just double it, which I guess could be 14. But yeah.
I think it's a cool card. Like you throw in some of the damage triplers in here, and then all of a sudden Lightning Bolt is lethal.
My goodness gracious.
And
also this is also, it protects itself. I mean, not that the O'Hares don't, but like it does take a little bit of time to actually flip it back. This one doesn't take any time because it's like, oh no, I just pay a single mana and 4 life and discard 2 cards, whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm hard to deal with. Okay, so yeah, let's go with AC tier for that. I agree. Cool. All right. Moving on, we've got Talion the Kindly Lord. Why don't you talk about this one, actually, because I didn't have this one on my list. I like the card a lot. I think it's spicy. It's so spicy, but tell me why this deserves to be in the conversation.
Sure. 2 blue, black for a 3/4 legendary creature. Fairy Noble has flying, of course. As Talion enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10.
Okay.
Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card.
Okay.
You're in blue-black, so you got tutors, you got counterspells, and I think you kind of have to choose the number based on your pod. Like, if you're building this to the teeth, like EDH level stuff, which
picking 1.
1 or 2, probably 2.
In casual, you're probably picking 2 or 3.
2 or 3, I would say, would probably be the sweet spot.
I think I saw the math on it. It's like, it's pretty close between 2 and 3, typically.
Yeah, so you will learn if you have a regular play group, which one's probably going to get you more value.
Or just play telepathy, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Then you've got access to all the information.
I think this one's a little bit like Lotho in that it's one that opponents have to respect, but also that isn't going to quite be like Shalai and Hallar, where like I need
that
to
has
get
to
rid
go
of
away.
it.
Yeah.
They can stomach losing 2 life. They won't like that you're drawing cards, but it's not quite the alarm bell of a card. So I think it's just gonna eke so much value over the course of the game, and it's in great colors.
Unless you're playing against like the biggest Timmy deck of all time, and it's like, oh, you picked 2. Oh, cool. All my things are like 6+.
Right. If you're playing against my Karuga deck, I think you probably want to choose something different.
Exactly. 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on the group. It depends on the limit. I think there's a lot of factors to it. And I think because of that, I would throw it in the D tier, even though it is in good colors. It is in good colors.
I had it in S.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
Yeah, it's just, it's like having a heuristic study in the command zone.
The thing is, I guess, is that I have not played. I'll be honest, I have not played against this one yet.
I think it overperforms.
I think that I would have to see literally how much you draw, how much life you drain.
I would.
With this,
if it's not at least a B, I'm gonna walk out.
Okay, we'll throw it in the middle or put it in the B tier just so you don't leave. All right. And with that, let's take a quick break so I make sure Eddie doesn't leave. All right, next up we've got Thalia and the Gitrog monster, the team up that everyone was expecting and waiting for.
I
what?
Did not see that coming, but I love it. It's so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, a 4/4 human frog horror with first strike and death touch that costs 4 mana. I guess I should say. I keep forgetting. For some reason, my brain just goes Abzan. There we go. I don't know why this color combination always throws me off because I'm just going to say 4 mana and color combination. I'm like, Abzan.
I have a Carador deck, so I know Abzan.
There you go. All right, you may play additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter battlefield tap. Whenever it attacks, sacrifice creature land, draw a card. And do you think this one was on your list as well?
It was. Yeah. No, I think this is right along with the other kind of stacks decks.
Okay, so D tier because not stacks.
Yeah. No, I mean, it has so many. It has first strike, death touch, so a superb blocker.
Yep.
Or, if you need to go on the offense.
Or, I mean, if you lure effect, too, you can take out creatures.
Yep. Additional lands, so it's got the OG Gitrog monster text there. It has a built-in stacks effect from Thalia to slow your opponents down, as well as having card advantage.
Yep.
You just make a few tokens, make a few extra land drops, have a Crucible of Worlds, whatever. I mean, it just has so much value. It's in 3 colors. You're in great colors, 4 stacks. I think if you're willing to lean into that, it's S tier. If you're not, it drops down again.
I'd say let's drop it down. So we're not going stacks. Again, like, it's kind of weird. It's like with our, I think we're from our player's perspective, where it's like we allow.
I wouldn't build it.
We allow certain, we allow like certain combos, like essentially, like typically like more than 2, or if the game's going a long time, it's fine, like a 2-card combo, whatever. But like we don't typically build full stacks and say like, hey, no one else does anything.
Yeah, I mean, I like having a spectrum of decks. Like I've got a Kinnan, near CEDH level deck. It's got everything, and I've got a jank deck that plays cards all upside down.
Yep.
And so like, this is, if you're gonna build it, no holds barred.
Yep.
Like it might be nice to have one of those decks and just on hand if that's what you're
100%.
Randos that you're playing with want to play that level, and this would be one that could hang at those tables if you build it that way.
Okay, so if we're not building
it that way, it's still very good. I think.
I mean, I'd say it's very good too. It can give you a lot of value. Again, it gives you card advantage, it gives you ramp, and it also slows your opponents.
You can do
and in good colors. Yeah. So what are we thinking?
I would say B.
I would go B. I was thinking B+, but yeah, let's go B. Okay, easy enough. Moving on to another one of the Phyrexians, Urabrask. Why don't you read this one? If you can find it on your list.
A bit, not in my S tier list.
Where did you end up?
I'll just read it then. Yeah, you got it, man.
All right, here we go. 4/4 Phyrexian Praetor. First strike for 2 red. Whenever you cast in Sorcerer Spell, 1 damage target opponent, add red. Pay a red. Exile it, return to the battlefield. Only if you've cast 3 red sorcery spells this turn. Flips over into the Great Work. First lore counter. 3 damage target opponent, each creature they control. Second one, 3 treasure tokens. Third one, until end of turn, you may cast in-source spells from any graveyard. Fun. Face spell cast away, put in a graveyard, exile instead, exile, then return it back. Okay.
Yeah, so this is one where you build around the front face. It's not like the Heliod. Like you definitely are playing it for the front side.
Yep.
It has a very similar effect, albeit a little worse in some cases, better in others, to Burgi.
Yep.
And Burgi. And Burg is very strong commander. It's limited by mono red, so that's rough, but I mean, if you're playing a storm deck like this kid,
it's a free ritual effect on every single one of your spells, and it also gives you like grape shot for that too, kind of.
Yeah. So I think it's a strong card. I have it in A. I think it could be argued down because Burgi it is not. Burgi I would say is better because it persists through phases. It can be used for other things. It's 1 mana more to cast it.
Burgi's not all based on just instant sorceries, I think, right?
I don't think so. Yeah. So I would say it's not as good as Burgi, but it's still a very good card.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I could be convinced A. I think B or A. So
okay.
You think your finals in A?
I have it in A, but yeah.
We'll throw it up there in an A. I'm feeling generous right now. I'm feeling generous after helping you out.
It's Urabrask. He's the underdog. Like his last few
I think that's just part of it too.
It's like I want to like Urabrask.
Everyone's favorite Praetor.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, moving on. Everyone's favorite Bat God. Aclazotz, Deepest Betrayal. Are there any other bat gods?
Hopefully everybody's only bat god, yeah.
Well, I guess technically, if well, what about changelings? Those are bat gods. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, okay.
Aclazotz, Deepest Betrayal. 3 black for a 4/4 bat god with flying and lifelink. Lifelink. Whenever Aclazotz attacks, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. Whenever opponent discards a land card, make a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. When it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control.
Yep.
It turns into a Temple of the Dead, 1 swamp, and an ability for 2 and a black to transform it back to Aclazotz, only if a player has 1 or fewer cards in hand and only as a sorcery.
Okay.
I mean, it's a mono black discard commander. We've done this song and dance before. Tiny Bones, the she who shall not be named. Is
that really discard? That's like discard, edicts, everything. Like
yeah.
Yes.
So I would
she who should not be named.
No
the Salt Queen.
Yes. So I think because of that comparison, I have Aclazotz in the D tier.
Yeah, I think it's
a strong enough commander, but no one likes playing against it cards. Even Stacks players turn their nose up at discard decks.
I only play Stacks. I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not a Turgid player.
I mean, it's like literally like at a certain point, the game is just inevitably over unless the other players can just Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Heart of the Cards off the top of the library and get the right thing to help them out to stop what is going on. Because if they have no cards, and again, you keep drawing more and more cards with this, you're going to have answers, you're going to have things to stop
Stacks decks give you the illusion of hope, whereas Aclazotz just takes even that away.
The hope is gone. I am a bat god. Worship me.
Plus, everyone's just going to hit you in the face for playing discard. So
there you go. That's true. D tier. All right, moving on. Other Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. 4/7 Phyrexian Prayer of Vigilance for 5 mana. I will say that this card actually was like one of the pre-ban considerations before it even came out. I did mention that. I believe the rules committee did. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a trigger ability, permanent you control a trigger, triggers additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities permanent your opponent's control to trigger. So basically, this is Panharmonicon on a commander, but better because it's for all your permanents, and also it is Torpor Orb, but just for your opponents.
Yeah, I mean. That's the direction you want things. Benefits for you, but not for everyone else.
Doubling and then canceling. That's basically what most of the Praetors do.
Yeah, I mean, Elesh Norn's very strong. She suffers from being a monocolored deck.
I was going to say, but mono white, so D.
And you don't know, like, some opponents might have ETBs that matter, but some might not care about that at all.
Some might also have ETBs that are actually detrimental to them, too. Like a bounce land. All of a sudden, like, oh, thanks, I don't have to bounce a land back to my hand.
Yeah, so
I mean, like, that's not typical, but yes.
Yeah, there's that corner case for sure.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be one that like gets people's attention, like similar to Aclazotz, like you're playing Elesh Norn.
Yep.
So I'm gonna swing at you. I have her in the C tier.
I'd say that's probably about right. I do kind of joke about the monocolor, like it's mono white, it's D, but this one is more powerful. Again, it can just shut down certain decks just inherently just being in play essentially, and then it also can just
blocker.
Double up absurd, and it's also just a 4/7 vigilant for no reason. So it's like, oh, by the way, So okay, let's go with the C tier. There we go. Okay, moving on. Galadriel, you want to read this one?
Yeah, Galadriel. Let's see. Here she is.
And there was like 18 Galadriels, I think. So this is one of them.
Are there?
I think there were like 4.
Yeah, this is the only one I can.
Lord of the Rings had like 5 Balrogs, 18 Gandalfs. Just
so this is the one from the more recently, like the gift set that you may or may not be
products that no one can pay attention to or remember.
2 and Bant, so green, white, blue for a 3/3 elf noble. She has Alliance, which I don't think is a keyword, but they decided to make it one here. A little flavor.
Interesting.
Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Option 1 is to add a green. Option 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Option 3, scry 2 and draw a card.
Lovely.
Yeah, she's, I mean, similar to Aragorn in that way, like you can kind of choose, you're going to get value no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And you can choose which one you need in the moment.
Yep.
It's got card advantage. If you've already built up your board, you just build it out with the +1/+1 counters. It's got mana advantage once she's out. I mean, I think she's not going to make the cut at those like souped up tables, but again, like as a casual commander, you're gonna win the long game.
You chuck a bunch of creatures in the deck and it just works. It's essentially
Simic plus another color.
I mean, also you can just really abuse blink effects with this one. It could just reset it essentially. So it's like, okay, it does say hasn't been chosen this turn, but if you blink it, it comes back essentially as a separate entity, and then it's like, oh, okay, that starts over again, so I can just keep choosing the ones I want. I'm sure there's some combos you can do in there with, like, whatever that unicorn is that blinks or whatever. I'm sure there's things you can do.
Yeah, I guarantee there's ways that if you want to, you can definitely go infinite. I'm definitely going to encourage a creature-heavy build, so you're going to have a big board state, but then you have to make sure to protect it, so you want some board wipe protection, things like that.
Good colors as well. I mean, three color.
I have it as B.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I mean, middle of the road is probably where I would put this one as well. All right, moving on. Gandalf the White. Again, one of the 18 Gandalfs in the products.
This guy, I love Gandalf.
I think Gandalf had the most out of everyone. I think they're like, this is this Gandalf, this is that one, this is that one, and like their reasoning was like, well, we need to show Gandalf's entire journey, and it's like, well, yeah,
Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White.
Yeah, it's like you could have just done like a 2-sided card, like you would have done it. Anyways,
sweet.
But then they wouldn't sell as many Gandalfs. All right. 4/5 Avatar Wizard with Flash that costs 3 white. You may cast legendary spells, artifact spells with Flash. And hey, Panoramanicon again. If a legendary permanent or an artifact enters the battlefield or leaving the battlefield, causes a triggered ability by permanent control trigger, triggers additional time. Okay, so basically kind of like Elesh Norn, but also gives you Vedalken Orrery in some way, specifically for legendary and artifact spells. Doubles up on those ETBs, and also doubles up on leave a battlefield triggers too.
Yep. Again, suffers from being mono white. But sweet card. I like it a lot. But I don't think it's gonna be able to hang with the cream of the crop, as we've been saying. So I have Gandalf in C. Definitely not like gonna struggle with the deck, but
I'd throw it with Elesh Norn as well. It's like it's above the other mono whites, but it's still like right there. So, yeah, there we go. Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll jump into the rest.
All right, we are back. So we're gonna pick it up with another one. Team up. Hit it Sugu and Kyrie. 2 blue black for a 5/4 flyer. It's an ogre demon dragon. I love like the type lines on these team ups.
I was always so excited like before like it actually was found out that they're team ups because I was like, oh my gosh, it's all these things. It's like no, it's like 2 characters together. It's like okay.
When Sugu and Kyrie enter the battlefield, draw 3 cards and put 2 from your hand on top of library in any order. So basically brainstorm. When Sugu and Kyrie dies, exile the top card of your library. Target opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. This, I think, is a tricky commander, because if you know what it's about, people who build this deck do so for a reason, I would say, most of the time. And that reason is they want to clone it a bunch and get both the ETB and LTB triggers because of the legend rule. And then they want to put enter the infinite on the top of their deck.
That too, yes.
So I mean that's the most optimal way to build it. You're gonna dome someone, you're gonna draw your whole deck, and you're gonna win.
You could also go extra turns as well, but
you could go extra turns. You could go omniscience. Well, I guess Omniscience is an enchantment, but enter the infinite is the way that I think is the go-to for
anytime
this
you
one.
can freely cast a 10+ mana spell off the top of your library for free. That's fun.
It's in good colors. It's in blue-black, so you got tutors, you got counter spells. So I think if the deck is built that way, it's going to be very powerful. Even if it's not, you're still going to get pretty good value out of it. But it's a 5-mana commander, which is a lot to ask. So I would say if it's built optimally, I would put it probably an A-tier commander. If it's not going the clones into enter the infinite shenaniganry, then probably
like a 20-minute turn. No,
it's not going to be fun to sit
if you're not going, let's say you're not going the full storm 20-minute turn. Let's say you're just going to slightly below that.
Value. I mean, it's probably going to be tough for it to get above a C tier at that point. But the nice thing is, like, since it's a brainstorm, you can, if you draw with the ETB and draw the enter the infinite, you can then put it back before the death trigger resolves. So you can pretty much guarantee that you're gonna set that up.
That's true.
So it's pretty consistent when built that way. But I would say like if it's not built that way, C or D.
Okay, let's throw it in the C, just without that kind of like we're going down on stacks right now, so also kind of like going down on like a 20-minute turn as well. So.
But I think Enter the Infinite, like, I would at least be happy to die.
Enter
the Infinite. Like, that's pretty cool.
Now, if it took them 20 minutes to get there, I'd be like, where are we going with this? But then eventually when they get there, they're like, oh, sweet, well done.
See.
I mean, you already got through, like, almost all your deck, but then you got to that. Cool, good for you. All right, moving on. Oher Kaslim, Deepest Growth. A 6/5 legendary creature god with trample for 5 mana. When it deals counter to your player, reveal that many cards to the top of your library. You may put a creature and or a land from among them on the battlefield. Rest on the bottom of your library. Dies, transform it. Turns into a land that can just flip back over for free, essentially. Tap for a green. Pay 2 and a green. Tap, transform it. Only if you control 10 or more permanents. And what is the sorcery?
Yeah.
Okay, again, I'm
not non-land permanents.
It's just like, this is just not creative in my opinion. It's just, not land. Yeah, exactly. They could have put that on there. But this is just like, hey, do you have the city's blessing? Oh, that's so hard to get.
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, in limited, which is probably
sure,
like,
but I don't
there's
care.
Always that caveat.
I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
All right, flips back over. All right, I probably should care a little bit, but you know what? No, this is for Commander. Blah.
Commander only. Yeah.
Commander only. Anyways. Yeah, in limited it makes a lot more sense. But when it comes to Commander, you're gonna have the City's Blessing. Okay, you're in Commander. These games, typically, if you're playing a casual format, take like 10 turns-ish.
Yeah.
So there you go. You're gonna get to 10 permanents quite easily.
Yep.
Regardless, the front side, yeah, okay, you can get a bunch of power on it, swing, hit your opponents, and get a ton of things off the top of the library to get access to. Cheat in one land, cheat in one creature. Might be a Blightsteel Colossus, but yeah, might be something not.
Yep. I have it at B, which might be a bit generous. So I would say B or C.
Oh, I'd say that's a bit generous. I was going to put it in the C. So
okay,
let's go with the C then. Yeah. Okay, maybe I guess I just said let's just go with mine instead.
That's fine.
Are you okay with the C on this one?
I'll get over it. Yeah.
I just think compared to like some of the other ones in the,
it's in mono green, which isn't a huge hindrance, but it is, a little bit.
Okay, all right, here we go. All right, 5-color commander Omnath, Locus of All, the evil mean jelly bean. Why don't you read this one?
White, blue, Phyrexian, black, red, green, Phyrexian elemental 4/4. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, put it in your hand.
Okay.
I think it's 5 colors. So, I mean, that at bare minimum means there's access to every card in the game.
So it's basically A tier plus, essentially, if it is 5 colors.
I think, like, there's better 5-color commanders out there. So
agreed.
I have it at B.
Yeah.
But it really depends on what you put in the 99. That's what's going to define this card's power level.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the fact it is only technically like 4 mana. So these are the reasons why I would say BA.
Sure.
It's basically a 4 mana commander.
Yep.
Okay. And so it's pretty low to the ground. It does just basically become a mana bank for you.
Yep.
It also provides you with card advantage as well as mana.
Yeah, I think the card advantage, like, you have to build the deck around that. And, like, it's a harder constraint to build in a powerful way.
Yeah.
Not impossible.
I mean, you still get the card advantage. You're just not getting... No, you don't get the mana. You get the card advantage. You always get the card.
Yeah. So I think it's... I could see an A. If you want to put it in A, Angry Jellybean. Omnath has had a long road to get here. Might as well give him a little trophy at the end of his race.
I'll take this one just because. Just because it is 5-color, and that is my area.
It's your area of
It's
expertise.
my area. You're the Simic. Every Simic commander you can put in B. I don't care who it or A, who or S, who it is.
Yep.
It's gonna go with that. Okay, moving on. Shieldred with no title. 4/5 Phyrexian Praetor for 5 mana. Menace enters the battlefield. Each opponent sacrifice a non-token creature or planeswalker. 4 and a black. Transform it, or exile and bring it back transformed. Activate on sorcery only if an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Flips over into a disgusting saga, the True Scriptures. The first one for each opponent is up to 1 target creature planeswalker. Second one, each opponent discards 3 cards and mills 3 cards. The third one, put all creature cards from all graveyards to battlefield under control, then exile and flip it back. Okay. So this one, first up, just has a disgusting ETB to start, forcing a sacrifice of something that's actually valuable, a non-token creature or planeswalker. There's not only so many ways that you can abuse ETBs in mono black, but there are like Feign Death type effects, which can bring it back. And then flipping it over just gives you some pretty brutal things too.
Yeah, I mean, both sides are pretty reasonable. I have her at C.
C is what I was thinking as well.
I mean, I think there's better mono black commanders out there, but it's still respectable. It's going to make an impact.
Yawgmoth is definitely also a C too. No, Yawgmoth's insane.
Yawgmoth's great.
Yawgmoth's insane. It's good. It's got value. It does require some setup because obviously, again, you do have to have, if an opponent removes, like, if all the graveyards are gone, you can't transform it. You need to, like, just reset that and try to get it back again.
Yeah, I would say, like, the biggest struggles Shieldred faces is at a casual table, you're probably going to have opponents who are playing more to the board, and they're going to have more options to get rid of. And at high power tables, it tends to be less creature focused, and so you know, it's not going to impact them as much.
True. You just stole a bunch of Llanowar elves. Congratulations! Yay! I mean, I guess that's inherently good too with that getting mana, but still. C tier. C tier. All right, moving on. 5-color done. Sliver Gravemother. We have ourselves a 6/6 Sliver for 5 mana. Wooburg colors. Eddie, why don't you read the rest?
The legend rule doesn't apply to slivers you control.
Ooh.
Each Sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value, and so does Sliver Gravemother, Encore 5.
There you go.
I think it's neat. I think there's better Sliver commanders out there. Probably still going to make the 99 of any of them.
Oh, yeah.
But Cool card. I mean, slivers, again, they're a combat-centric tribe. People are well aware that they snowball very quickly and disgustingly.
You need to stop them.
Yeah.
The first sliver, this is not, though.
No, I would say, like, I think it's a more gimmicky sliver, which I love gimmicks. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like, I think removing the legend rule from slivers, like, it would be a more creative sliver build, not necessarily more powerful.
Orvar, done.
Yep, you did it.
Orvar clones, done.
Yeah. The Encore is cool. I mean, the fact that it's 5 colors at least makes it have to be, like, mentioned. But again, there's so many 5-color decks to choose from that if you're purposely choosing this sliver, I don't think it's going to be as powerful. I have it in C. But
can we bump it up to a B? It's 5 color. It's 5 color, Eddie. Eddie, it's 5 color.
You got it,
Eddie,
Mitch.
It's 5 color. Got it. It's 5 color. I don't think we have any other. Oh gosh, we do have another one. I don't know if we have any other Simic ones on here, but we'd have another 5 color at some point. All right.
So we did that one.
Watcher in the Water. All right, we've got a 9/9 Kraken for 5 mana in blue. Enters the battlefield with 9 stun counters on it tapped. Whenever you draw a card during an opponent's turn, you get a 1/1 blue tentacle. Whenever a tentacle you control dies, untap to 1 target Kraken, put a stun counter up to 1 target non-land permanent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's a decent-sized body that you might not be able to untap for quite a while, but also once you kind of distribute those stun counters out, essentially, you tap down your opponent's things, keep them tapped down, while also making an absurd amount of tokens quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool card. I was a little surprised that it was on the list.
I think it was in a weaker.
It was in a Lord of the Rings set.
I don't know. It was in the Lord of the Rings set. I guess maybe it overpunched back then.
Yeah, it's a cool card. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I love
cool.
the character.
I don't know where I had it, but
it's D.
I think it's D compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
It's D compared to the other ones. I do think the one thing that you could do obviously is like any kind of a wheel effect. Essentially, some of the wheels are sorcery, so you couldn't do that on opponent's turns. But I mean. But that does require setup. Okay, let's go with D. We're just going to move on from there. Yep. All right, moving on. Another 5-color Tom Bombadil. I was like, why are we just hitting 5-color to 5-color? Oh, because we're at 5 mana, which is 5 colors.
Yeah, that's where they land.
All right, why don't you read this one?
God Bard 4/4. As long as there are 4 or more lore counters among sagas you control, Tom Bombadil has hexproof and indestructible. Whenever the final chapter of a saga you control resolves, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a saga card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. This ability triggers only once each turn.
Okay.
I mean, I, along with a whole lot of other people, love Tom Bombadil in the book.
Great
what about
character. The movies? How'd you like Tom Bombadil in the movies?
He was very sneaky. You couldn't see him anywhere. But no, I think, again, this is kind of like Sliver Gravemother. It kind of like, if you're building it the way that it shows on the front of the box, like it's going to be a Saga Tribal Commander.
Yep.
Those just aren't going to ever be super powerful.
I mean, I'd say like 10 years from now when we have like 800 more sagas to choose from.
A lot of sagas. Like it could probably hang.
Right now.
But I mean, the best win condition the deck has is that your opponents will fall asleep because you are reading every ability of the sagas that have to trigger every
I disagree. Fall the Thran is your best win condition, getting rid of everyone's lands.
Yes. So I mean, I think Tom, he's a cool card. He's 5 color, so I realize that
hard to deal with as well.
Hard to deal with. Hexproof Indestructible. He's a hardy fellow. I have him in the D tier because if you're building him with sagas, I think there's a power limit for that.
I do think that you're probably right on that, actually. Wow. Which is unfortunate. I do think, because again, it is 5 colors, so again, technically you could just build a deck that's not at all about sagas. But yes, the fact that you're limited to so few cards essentially really does limit this one. So yeah, I think I would have to agree. I mean, I would like to just bump it to C just because 5 color, but we'll throw it compared to the other commanders in the D. I will give up on that one.
If you were in 5 colors and had no sagas in the deck and just did 5 color good stuff, like it'd be fine.
Might be better.
It'd probably be better.
All right. Caccyth and Kunoros, a 6/6 Elder Giant Dog, because that's the thing. And then Mardu. There we go.
Yep, Mardu, you got
I don't know
there.
why these, like, any combination with, like, white, black plus another color just throws me off, apparently. Except for, I guess, Esper. I don't know. Anyways, Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink, enters the battlefield or attacks. You may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Eddie, tell me why this is good. This was in your list, I believe.
It was in my list. I mean, number 1, it's 6 mana for a 6/6 Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink. Just a good body, good colors.
Choosing green to be an 8/8.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if not a 10/10, let's be real.
There you go. Why not?
I mean, this is one that if you see it across the table, this is another public service announcement. If they play Phyrexian Altar, you are dead. This is a 1-card combo with Phyrexian Altar because the way that it works, it enters the battlefield. You may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return that target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can sacrifice it to the altar, and then you can basically just loop it eventually. Like you're going to see like Underworld breaches in here because you're in red.
Sure.
So again, if you're building optimally, if you're playing at a super duper high power table, like just be aware that Caccyth and Kunoros can become or Altar of Dementia. I think I said.
I know what you meant. I should have said that as well. Yeah.
Be aware of it. I think if you're not doing those things with it, then again, drops down at least a couple rungs on the tier list.
I'd say let's assume that you're not just doing like this one card combo every single time.
Yeah. So if you're not doing that, then it's still a good value commander.
Yeah.
I would say like
set your graveyard up, cheat something into play.
Yeah, maybe a C.
All right, let's go with a C. I think I'm fine with that. Okay, one last break, and then we'll jump into the last, I believe, 6 commanders.
Let's do it.
Eddie, why don't you tackle this one, because I really struggle with the pronunciations on this.
Oathbreakers, Deepest Foundation. 4 white for a 6/6 legendary creature god with vigilance. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, 3 times that many are created instead.
How original! Oh my gosh.
We're going to get to the quadruplers
Best
by 2024.
I didn't even I don't know why, but I never thought that was a possibility, but yeah, we will.
Yep.
Okay, dies flat.
It dies, becomes a mono white land, can be retransformed into Oathbreakers for 2 and a white. If you've attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn and only as a sorcery, so a little harder to flip.
I mean, only as a sorcery is kind of redundant there because you can't really attack with 3 more creatures on your opponent's turns.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you could do it during the combat step or end step, but it's pretty.
That's true. That's true. I guess. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a good card.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, 3 times is more than 1 time.
Yep.
That's a mathematical fact.
There you go. It's also 6 mana though.
It's 6 mana.
Yep. It's mono white.
Doesn't have the thing that the Dominus cycle has, where you can make them indestructible.
And again, you can get it back quite easily.
Yeah.
But again, in comparison to these other commanders.
Yeah. I would say C or D.
I would go with the same. Yeah, I mean, I think just because of the mana value, I think D. I think just because it's mono white, it's 6 mana. Yep. Compared to the other ones, it is.
I think you content yourself with double, and then most of the time you'll want to play the Soulfim instead.
Well, also, I mean, the other one does double up like treasures as well. Mondra does. This only doubles up creature tokens specifically. Yep. So there we go. Okay, moving on. Sauron the Dark Lord. 7/6 Avatar that costs 6 mana in Grixis. Ward, sacrifice a legendary artifact for legendary creature. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, mass marks 1. Whenever an army you control deals counters to player with the Ring Tempt you. Whenever the Ring Tempt you may discard your hand if you do draw 4 cards.
That was a speed run of a
speed
card.
Run, very good. Yeah, I talk quite fast. I'm sorry, everyone. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Eddie, break it down.
I mean, it's in Grixis. Great color combination for high power decks.
Hey, tutors. Counterspells.
Tutors, counterspells. If you're
in red.
If you want Dockside, Underworld Breach, you got it.
That's true, Jessica. Yeah.
It protects itself pretty well. It's a steep ward cost. So, I mean, you're paying 6 mana to get it out, but at least it does, it's going to stick for at least a little bit most of the time. It does have, like, built-in wheel effects with that tempt. So, I mean, you can put some of the tempt cards in the 99 certainly, but I wouldn't go too hard on that.
Sure.
I think it's a great card.
You can also just build it where you have like the free sacrifice outlet value, where you're just sacrificing the amassed army right away every single time.
Yep, that's definitely a possibility too. I have it in A, like great colors, strong card advantage, protects itself. Like the 6 mana is the scariest bit to me, but
potential to wheel as well. Yeah, I'd say either B or A. But we've taken some of mine recently, so we'll go with yours this time. Right. We're gonna go with an A. Okay, moving on. The Master Multiplied. Eddie, are you a Doctor Who fan?
No, but I mean, I think I would be. I just haven't had the time.
You don't have time to watch like 800 episodes or how many there are?
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. Well, why not? Okay, anyways, all right. A 4/3 Time Lord Rogue, because that's the thing, with Myriad that costs 4 black and a red. The legend rule is applied to creature tokens you control. Triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile creature tokens you control.
Yeah. I mean, again, 6 mana is a lot. We just talked about that. Doesn't have haste. I think if it did, that would be super duper busted. But there's a lot of ways in red to give it haste. And I think it's one of those kind of like Shalai and Hallar we talked about a while ago, where like if you don't respect this commander, it will just run you over.
Yes.
But if you hold up, I mean, it's 6 mana, so you're probably going to have time to like hold up removal. One of your 3 opponents will. So I think
unlike Sauron, like no inherent protection.
Yeah, if you're the pilot of the deck, you really need to be able to thread the needle and find the appropriate time to play it. Don't just bust it out right away and have it removed and then be sad.
And then have to pay 8 mana next turn.
Yeah, so if you can thread the needle and find the right time to play it, like you're just going to exponentially go out of control.
But if you don't thread the needle...
But if you don't do that, you're going to fall on your face.
You're going to fall on your face.
Yeah,
okay.
So I have it at B, which might be a bit generous.
I was leaning C,
Sure.
But no, hey, up to you on this one.
Let's go C.
It is one that can get out of control.
It's in 2 colors.
Okay. We'll go with the C. Yeah. All right. We now go to the most powerful commander, clearly, from of all time. I think I just bumped things. Sorry, I just bumped things over slightly. Here, we're good. We're back.
Good.
All right, Yargle and Multani. S tier? Just S tier?
I mean, yeah, I have it. I have Yargle and Multani in S+.
Boom. Actually, yeah, we need to make a new one. Okay, sorry, everyone. This is kind of joking, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's Yargle.
I guess I did say that we haven't had any like vanilla creatures, but this is a vanilla creature.
This is a vanilla creature.
6. Let me throw this back in the bottom. Sorry, it's not in the S tier. Okay, I just spoiled that real quick. 18/6 Frog Spirit Elemental for 3 black, and a green. An amazing flavor text. S tier flavor text right there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, literally does nothing else. It is a vanilla creature.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, if we're being objective here, it's in the D tier.
Yeah.
But in my heart, it's an S tier.
In our heart, Yargle and Multani, you are S tier, but you are probably a D tier. I mean, you can just be a one-shot KO.
One giant growth away from a KO.
Taking players out easily. So there you go.
And I mean, there are honest shenanigans you can do with like Life's Legacy.
And exactly. Yeah, greater good. Just keep that in play and just draw them a certain amount of cards. All right. Atraxa Grand Unifier. All right, we're at 7 mana now. Hey, 7/7 Phyrexian Angel Flying Vigilance Death Touch Lifelink for 3 green, white, blue, black. Enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may play a card from that type among the real cards in your hand, but the rest above your library in a random order. And this is where we actually found out that battles were a thing because it was listed on the card.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
That was the battle announcement.
So potential for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different kind of card types.
Huge
so potential
card
for
advantage.
getting 8 cards off the top of your library if you're lucky.
I mean, they probably just ran out of space, but I was expecting that if you cast it clause on this, and it doesn't have that. It's just any ETB.
Does not. Are there blink effects in these colors?
Yeah, pretty sure.
And feign death type effects too. So yeah.
No, I mean, it's Atraxa. What would she be if she didn't have keyword soup on top? So she's got all the abilities. She's straight up card advantage.
And now a 3-shot KO. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 colors.
Yep.
Like, I think I have her in A. Could be an argument for S here. 7 mana is a lot.
I'm with you. If it wasn't the 7 mana, I would be up in the S. But I think all of our other S tier contenders are literally 4 mana or less, and that does make a big difference. 3 mana does make
tables.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, yes, this is a win con. Yes, this is an absurd card value engine that is so easy to use and abuse again because they don't have that cast requirement for some reason. But yeah, I think the mana value just limits it. So let's go with the A tier. Yeah. All right, finally, and I'll let you tackle this one because I believe you've got a deck built around it.
I do.
Yes. Who is it?
Itali, Primal Conqueror.
I'm glad that you got the right one because we're not in the same list.
No, we're not.
So it's like I'm glad you got just named a different one that we already went through.
Yeah, no, Itali, Primal Conqueror, 5 red for an Elder Dinosaur, 7/7 with Trample. Not in the Ixalan block because something happened to Itali here. Aww. Spoiler alert. Trample. When it enters a battlefield, not when you cast it, just ETB. Each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. And for a whopping 9 and a Phyrexian green...
You're in green!
You're in green! You can activate this only as a sorcery.
Transform.
And it becomes Itali, Primal Sickness.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah.
You have to play Disturbed at that point. You just have to play
it's a law. The judges will come after you if you don't do that. Trample Indestructible, 11/11. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters, so like pseudo infect basically. Plus you get the regular damage.
Yeah.
So infect plus.
I forgot about that. You get the regular damage too, don't you? Yep. Which probably won't matter, but maybe
probably won't matter. I mean, this is one of those where I play it for the front side.
Yep.
You could build around the reverse side certainly if you want.
I'd say, I mean, even though the backside is basically Blightstone Colossus-ish, the front side is more powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I think the dinosaur pun incoming, it scales to your table very well. If you're playing in a lower power pod, you're just going to fill this deck with absurd ramp.
Yep.
And then play Itali, and ideally play some effects that make copies of Itali.
Yep.
And get those effects.
Well, and if you're playing against a popular theme like Blink deck, you just happen to get one of their Blink spells off the top,
and it gets your own too, so you're gonna ramp more than likely again. And
or if you're playing against a clone deck, if you're playing against certain kinds of decks that just like literally can give you a card that says, "Oh, do that again."
Yeah, and I mean, the crazy thing is, like, you can choose to clone it, send the original back to the command zone, and, like, sure, it's going to cost 9 mana, but you're in an insane ramp deck.
Yeah.
And so you still have the option to either retain the 7/7, or you can just recast Itali to get even more value. So I think it's one of those cards, like, it's and they're printing more and more things that interact with when you cast from exile. So there's that kind of sub theme that you can play around with here. One of my favorite is Flaming Tyrannosaurus from the Doctor Who set.
Lightning bolt.
So good.
That's so fun.
So I mean, it's a super fun deck. It's one that I am aware of its power level, so I don't play it at lower power pods because it's really hard to play this deck casually.
I believe last time we played this, though, I think someone else stole yours and then took you out with the infect side of it, didn't they?
Alec did
that was funny.
It was funny.
I think I could have saved you, too, and I didn't.
Oh, yeah, and that was like when I just built that version of the deck with cards I had laying around. It's better now. Watch out.
It lost once, and Eddie's like, no, not losing with this again.
I think it's one of those where, like, it's got a power floor. Like, you cannot build this deck to be very weak. Like, it's just powerful.
Yeah, I mean, inherently, you just hit something off the top of someone's library. That's
it's also 7 mana, so it's not going to be, like, super tippy-topic, kind of solidly in that middle. I have it as A.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think I would agree with that. So, let's throw it up there in A. And... yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, you can't see the final thing right now. It's not
I assume it's wonderful.
It looks great. I mean, there's a good amount. There's only 4 in S, all right, which is probably about right, actually, typically. A decent amount in A, some B's as well, and then C and D have the bigger chunks.
So
we're good.
Yeah.
Eddie, thank you for joining. I had a great time. Obviously, these are perfect results since Eddie and I both put our minds together and put these together. This is exactly what the tier ranking should be for the year.
Yep. They are indisputable. They could not be better.
And there's definitely no commanders that we left off that we're going to get yelled at in the comments below. How could you not put this commander in the list? It should be in the A tier of this list. It's not even in it.
Yeah, I acknowledge that we might have missed some.
We probably made some mistakes. There's 390 plus commanders, okay?
Yep.
Okay?
Take it easy on us.
Step on, please. We probably missed like an entire product at one point. Like, like, how'd you miss the Urza that went to the moon? In Doctor Who? I don't know. Did they go to the moon in Doctor Who? Probably. I don't know. I've never seen it.
I mean, there's a flaming Tyrannosaurus. I mean, stranger things have happened.
That's true. Stranger things, indeed. So, all right. Well, thanks again for joining, Eddie. Comment below your thoughts on what we got right, what we got wrong. And, of course, as always, thanks again, and blame Eddie in the comments below. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.